Is this high-volume scanner really the right fit for a growing small office, or is it overkill for a solo entrepreneur who just needs to digitize receipts? Who should press the buy button? Who would be better off with a desktop feeder? And does the price make sense for everyday document handling needs? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I started looking into production-grade scanners, the first thing that tripped me up was the sheer variety of models promising fast and large capacity. The risk, of course, is spending a lot on a machine that sits idle because the workflow never actually needs that throughput. That's why I spent a few days digging through forums, watching unboxing videos, and reading the handful of reviews that do exist for the Canon imageFORMULA G2140. The consensus is clear. It shines when you have a constant stream of paper, but it can feel heavy-handed in a setting where you only scan a few hundred pages a month. Let's picture a typical scenario. Imagine a law firm that processes hundreds of client files daily, or a medical office that needs to archive patient records in bulk. In those environments, the G2140's ability to keep a large stack of paper moving without constant operator intervention is a real time-saver. The feeder can handle a full tray of mixed-size documents, and the scanner can pull through them at a pace that keeps the queue moving. For a team of 3 or 4 who each contribute a few hundred pages per day, the machine can run unattended for an hour or two, feeding straight into the office's document management system. That's the kind of workflow where the price starts to look justified. Now flip the script. Think about a freelance graphic designer who only needs to scan a client's logo files once a quarter, or a home-based accountant who digitizes tax paperwork during tax season. For those users, the same capacity becomes a liability. The unit weighs over 70 pounds, so getting it onto a desk or into a cramped office nook is a chore. The footprint of the feeder also means you need a dedicated space, something you probably don't have in a kitchen table setup. If you only scan sporadically, you'll be paying for speed you'll never need, and the maintenance schedule. Cleaning rollers. Replacing the feed belt adds an extra layer of work that most occasional users would rather avoid. What really sets this scanner apart, beyond the headline, processes large amounts of documents, is how it handles paper that isn't perfectly pristine. In a production setting, you'll see torn edges, staples, or even a few sticky notes slipped in. The G2140's feed mechanism is designed to be forgiving. It can pull through a stack with minor imperfections without jamming every few pages. In the field, that translates to less downtime and fewer frantic calls to IT support when a jam does happen. For a busy office that can't afford to stop for a 30-second paper clear, that reliability is worth a chunk of the cost. On the flip side, the scanner isn't built for super high-resolution image capture. If you need true color fidelity for fine art reproductions, you'll find the default settings a bit muted. The device focuses on speed and bulk handling, not on the kind of pixel-perfect output a photographer might demand. That's not a flaw, just a design choice, but it's worth noting if your primary use case involves scanning high-quality marketing materials rather than contracts or invoices. Another practical consideration is software integration. Canon bundles a suite that plugs directly into popular document management platforms, and the driver support for Windows and Mac OS is solid. However, the out-of-the-box experience can feel a bit dated. Menus are functional, but not particularly sleek, and there's a learning curve if you want to set up batch profiles for different departments. In my research, office admins reported spending a half-day fine-tuning the workflow, but once that is done, the scanner runs like a silent workhorse. If you have an IT person who can handle the initial setup, you'll be fine. If you're hoping for plug-and-play, you might hit a few snags. Let's talk about the price point in real terms. The G2140 sits in the upper mid-range for production scanners, not cheap, but also not at the premium tier where you get a built-in OCR engine that can instantly index millions of pages. You'll likely need to pair it with third-party software if you want that level of document searchability. That extra cost can push the total investment higher, so factor in whether you already have OCR tools in place. For many small businesses, the scanner's raw speed and capacity are enough to offset the lack of built-in indexing because they already run a separate document capture workflow. What about durability? The 71-pound weight isn't just a shipping inconvenience, it's also an indicator that the chassis is built to stay put. Users have reported that the unit feels solid on a sturdy desk, and the feed rollers don't wear out after a few months of heavy use. The downside is that if you ever need to move the scanner, say, you're relocating though,